This is Mrs. Naslund, and today we're doing Fluency Lesson 14, Square Numbers, 11s, and 12s. Our learning target for today are, I can explore patterns in square arrays and square numbers, and I can explore patterns in 11s and 12s multiplication and count bys. So first we're going to look at the 11s, just like before, we're going to go ahead and find all of the count bys, and then we'll look for patterns that we see. So one set of 11 is 1 times 11, which is 11. Two sets of 11 is 2 times 11, which is 22. Three sets of 11 is 3 times 11, which is 33. Four sets of 11 is 4 times 11, which is 44. 5 sets of 11 is 5 times 11, which is 55. 6 sets of 11 is 6 times 11, which is 66. 7 sets of 11 is 7 times 11, which is 77. 8 sets of 11 is 8 times 11, which is 88. 9 sets of 11 is 9 times 11, which is 99. And lastly, it's getting cut off because our chart only goes up to 100, but 10 times 11 is 110. So go ahead and look at our products here, and I want you to go ahead and think of any patterns that you see. All right, so the pattern that most people see right away is that the factor that we're multiplying is doubled. It's in both the 1 spot and the 10 spot of the product. So for example, our factor here, 2, is in the 10s and the 1 spot. 22, 3, 33, 4, 44. And the question is, why does it work? And one way to think about it that kind of helps show you why it works is to think about, let's just take 3 times 11. Think about it as if I did 3 times 10, I would get 30, right? And I have to add one more set of 11 on there in order to, or one more set of 3s on there in order to get to 11 3s, right? So if I add 3 more, I add that one more set of 3, then I get 33. So really, you have your 10 sets of 3, plus you have that one more, and that's why you get the double number. So that's kind of a nice little trick to remember as you're looking at the 11s. The other thing you can think about is that if you look here, both in the 1s and the 10s, it just goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1. So that's a nice way to remember it as well. All right, the 12s are a little bit different. And you'll see we definitely lost. We weren't able to do all of them because our number chart only goes up to 100, and your math board will only go up to 100 as well. So some of these you'll just have to look at the actual count bys that I've written out for you. But one set of 12 is 1 times 12, which is 12. Two sets of 12 is 2 times 12, which is 24. 3 sets of 12 is 3 times 12, which is 36. 4 sets of 12s are 4 times 12, which is 48. 5 sets of 12 is 5 times 12, which is 60. 6 sets of 12 is 6 times 12, which is 72. 7 sets of 12 is 7 times 12, which is 84. 8 sets of 12 is 8 times 12, which is 96. 9 sets of 12 is 9 times 12, which is 108. And lastly, 10 sets of 12 is 10 times 12, which is 120. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at our products here and see if you can find any patterns that you see in our 12s. All right, some patterns that you might have found. All of the products are even. All of the products are evens. You also might notice that all of the products are 2s, 3s, 4s, and 6 count bys. And what I mean by that is if I had 2, 2 would go evenly into all of these numbers. If I had 3, 3 would go evenly into all these numbers. If I had 4s, or most of the numbers, if I have a 4, it'll go evenly into most of the numbers. And if I have 6s, 6 will go evenly into most of the numbers. So the products are also 2s, 3s, 4s, and 6 count bys. If I add the 2 digits, and this one is a little bit harder to find, if I add the 2 digits in my product, so 1 plus 2 equals 3, 4 plus 2 equals 6, 6 plus 3 equals 9. You'll notice that these are our 3 count bys, right? 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12. So our 3 count bys we'll find if we add the products of each of our 12 count bys. That's another little trick to help you remember. Our 12's products are twice the corresponding 6 products. So, for example, if I had 1 times 6, if I was looking at my 6's, if I do 1 times 6, 1 times 6, which would equal 6. My 12's, my corresponding 1 times 12, is exactly 2 times bigger, right? So if I did 2 times 6, I would get 12. Our 2 times 12 is 24, so it's exactly 2 times bigger. So that's another pattern that you might have noticed. The question is, how do you remember your 12's? 12's are really tricky for kids to remember. What are some strategies you can use? Let's talk about, let's look at this 5 times 12. Instead of, remember if you think back earlier, we always said, well, do the 5 times 5. You do the 5's because you remember those. But now that we're into higher numbers, you can actually do the 10's. So I can say, okay, 5 times 10. I know that one. It's a 10. I'm good at those 10's. 5 times 10 equals 50. So I've done 10 sets of 5's, but I need to get to 12 sets of 5. So I have 2 more that I need to do. So I'm going to say 5 times 2. So now that when I add these together, if I added my 10 and my 2 together, I get my 12. 5 times 2 equals 10. And now I just add these 2 products together, and that'll give me the answer of what 5 times 12 is. So 50 plus 10 is 60. So that's a great way to help you remember your 12's. You can always multiply the number by 10 and then multiply the number again by 2 and add the 2 together. So that's a great strategy to help you with your 12's, because 12's can be hard ones to just get right off the bat. All right, we're going to continue, and the next thing that we're going to look at today is equations for square arrays. So it says write an equation to show the total number of dots in each square array. So we want to try to write a multiplication equation that shows each of these. So if I look at this first one here, I've got 1 dot. What would I have to multiply to get 1? Yeah, I'd have to do 1 times 1 equals 1. Now it gets a little easier once you get past 1 here. Now I just look and I count the dots. So on this side I have 2, and this side I have 1, 2, 2 dots. So my multiplication equation is going to be 2 times 2 equals, and if you look there, how many is going to equal? 4. All right. All right, go ahead and try this one on your own and see if you can write the multiplication equation for number 3. All right, if you got 3 times 3 equals, and how many dots are there? 9. So 3 times 3 equals 9. You did it correctly. All right, let's jump down and do a little bit more tricky one. Let's do number 6 here. All right, so again, we count our dots. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots. So my multiplication equation is going to be 6 times 6, which equals 36. Great job. The product in these exercises here are what we call square numbers. And a square number is the product of a whole number and itself. So basically, if you multiply a number by itself we consider that a square number. So 3 times 3 is a square number, and the product is 9. 6 times 6 is a square number, the product is 36. So when we refer to square numbers, we just mean that the number is multiplied by itself. All right, so today we talked about our 11s and our 12s, and we also learned how to write equations for square arrays. Great work!